Oh, hey. That was weird.
Really good.
Looked like,
I thought you were doing that on purpose.
it looked like I was. I was just
Like,
smiling
what the
because
fuck is he?
I was, smiling because it looked like, is it Max Headroom or something I'm thinking of? Or, what the heck was that? I always mix that up. That was one I never really watched, but it was, there was one in like the early 90s that I thought it had a similar vibe to it. Maybe not.
Interesting. Excuse me. I called in to work today because I didn't feel well. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess you're well enough to do a podcast.
Well, I've been laying around all day, so I feel like I need to do something. So this is good.
Yeah.
Hopefully getting over. I think I just ate something bad on Easter. My another family member is sick.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It happens,
hopefully it doesn't last too much longer.
No. It wasn't the coop either. I don't think it was, at least. I hope it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was later. We had ham and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, ham seems like it could be a culprit pretty easily.
I don't know. Like, every time I eat something like that, it seems like it makes me sick or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
I actually had ham as well. But,
that's the thing to do on Easter, I guess, right?
the old Easter ham, yeah. And I had ham for
Good old,
Christmas.
good old Easter ham.
I think I had ham
Anyhow.
for my dad's birthday. Well, technically I think I had moons over my hammy. But
nice.
the spicy version, which
Yeah, we just had the traditional ham, but my grandma felt bad because she didn't glaze it or anything. It's like the what is it, the honey glaze or whatever you can usually do with it. I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, it's ham, still ham. All right.
So
See anything in here that? Sorry.
I just corrected you said ship and I put base because
Yes,
they weren't on the ship.
I meant to correct that. Thank you. Also,
Because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they're on the same base that the Mandals run into later.
Yes, I would agree. Also, I did not mean necromancer. Necromancer.
Necromancer.
All right. Well, let's do it. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Disnerds Plus, where we talk about your favorite shows on the Disney Plus. This here is episode number 34. Today we are discussing The Mandalorian number 23, The Spies, for Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. I'm Shane.
Hey, I'm Mike.
Well, hello,
34
Mike.
episodes. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That flew by, didn't it? Despite having a break in there. But, yeah,
just wait. It's gonna get more and more episodes.
What's the next one? Have we talked about this?
Secret Invasion would be the next one if we're gonna go down that.
Secret Invasion's a series?
Yep.
Hmm.
You didn't know that?
I can't keep up with it, man. No, I didn't know that, I guess. Or maybe I heard it at one point, but...
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, let's see. What's the command again?
Did you even see the Ahsoka trailer that came out?
Yes, we talked about the Ahsoka trailer.
Oh, yeah, we did. That's
right. I have not seen the Marvel's trailer yet. Because every time it pops up for me, it's
It's more of a teaser trailer, something like too crazy.
Right. Well, every time it pops up, it's on like Instagram, and I'm like, I'm not watching this thing on Instagram, you know.
Well, I can tell you, it does give you a hint to the Miss Marvel show. Like gives
Oh,
away,
well,
like kind of gives some stuff.
I did see that part of it. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yep.
anyway, today we're talking about Star Wars.
Star Wars.
The wars in the stars.
I can't wait for Ahsoka. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Previously on
The Mandalorian. This is one where we had Axe Woves and his his merry band of Mandalorians coming to capture Mon Calamari from a Quarren ship. And I'm just reading verbatim.
His merry band of Mandos.
Yes.
The Mando Marys.
This is also where Bo Katan, Din Djarin, and Grogu they're coming to the planet there, Plazir 15, where of course we met. I think I mispronounced this last time. I think I said Bombardier and it's Bombardier or something like that.
Bombardier.
We'll never see him again, probably.
Probably
Doesn't
not.
matter.
Or the Duchess.
I mean, if we did, I mean, that'd be cool, but just one of those side characters that,
Yeah.
probably not.
I'm okay if I mean, it was cool. Jack Black and Lizzo, yeah, they got their Star Wars fame now, but I could go without seeing them. Sorry about the train in the background.
It's okay. I like it. I know every time I hear it, it reminds me of the song 8 Mile. So I love that song.
I don't live on the 8 Mile, by the way. That'd be horrible and terrifying.
Yeah. But I did want to make mention, I mentioned it briefly at the end of our last live episode, that how coincidental it was that we had just said in the previous episode that whatever happened to Sasha Banks and that other guy. And
Oh yeah,
then,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And I commented saying like, think we'll ever see him again? I'm like, probably not, but I hope so. And then the very next episode, here they are. So then they end up speaking to Christopher Lloyd, who ends up being Commissioner Hellgate, and he takes him down to the Ugnaughts in the lower level, where we get. Did you see? There was a meme where it had the one Ugnaught that had like the hair. They were comparing him to a character in one of the Pixar movies. I completely recognize him, but I don't. I think he's maybe the Incredibles, like a suit or something from that movie. But if you look that up, anybody look it up, that whatever that meme is. But it was uncanny when I saw the resemblance. But
I'll have to look it up later.
So after the Ugnaughts sent him over to the docks, where we see all the proper battle droids, where Mando tries to mess with them and ultimately gets one of them to fight back, and then goes running off. They track it down. Bo shoots it, and that gives them a lead with their whatever business card, like digital business card thing they had.
Oh yeah, the spark pad. It sounds like.
Yes. Yes, the old spark pad.
Spark pad.
Just to chip off the old spark pad.
Yeah.
That sends them to a droid bar called a resistor, not to be confused with the resistance, of course. And despite resistors providing resistance, there was that's where we learned of Nepenthe, still confused about it. It's something that basically keeps the droids in check.
And lubricated.
Yes, dual purpose. And yeah, so that because everyone on this planet was of Plazir 15 is
no one works.
no one works. Yeah,
That's what the droid's job is for.
the more I thought about it, the more I thought, like, this doesn't really make sense entirely because no one works, but at the same time, they're talking about how they got this democracy all working and everything. They had their first elections, like they're that's work. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
but anyway, it's Star
Not
Wars.
all the nitty gritty stuff, probably. Like
No, I get
cleaning up the roads.
no sound or explosions in space. Blah blah blah. Like light can't get cut off like a lightsaber. Always define the laws of nature and physics and reason. But
But this is fantasy, so it could be whatever we want.
Science fantasy. That's true. So then they were rewarded by getting the key to the city, the Plaisir 15 or whatever, and then Grogu gets knighted as Jack Black and Lizzo are playing some weird game with giant pill bugs or whatever they're called.
Potato bugs.
Potato bugs, roly polies, that old yeah. And then they're given permission to go visit the privateers there, the Mandalorians that are there as their private army, or whatever you want to call it, contracted army, I guess. But
yeah, mercenaries.
So that's where Axe Woves and Bo-Katan kind of duke it out for leadership, which of course she tries to get him to yield twice, and eventually he sort of does, but still like takes issue with not getting the Darksaber from Din Djarin, which Din Djarin makes an argument for why she should have it, because she defeated the enemy that defeated him. And so the torch was passed.
Yes.
Now, on to this episode. We start off, we get our previously recap on the show itself, going back through a few previous episodes. It starts off with that aforementioned scene on Mandalore where Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were checking it out there. Then we get the scene again with the armor, talking about Bo-Katan helping to retake Mandalore. We see again the mercenaries there on Plaisir 15 and the abandoned shuttle from Moff Gideon's abandoned shuttle that Captain Teva came across, and then of course the brainwashing, quote unquote brainwashing of or I should be saying that the other way around. Whatever the fancy way they called it again.
Mind flare.
Well,
Mind
yeah,
flare?
they had their own, like they had their good name for it, I guess. On Coruscant, but we see Dr. Pershing being about to have his mind, I would assume completely wiped or just completely brainwashed. Because I don't know what that means. If that means he's just a vegetable, or if that means he's just completely bad. I assume we see him in the next episode.
Maybe we'll see. They got a lot of things that. Well, they don't have a lot of things to close up, but they gotta have to close some stories or some plot holes.
Or maybe we just never see him again. I don't know. I assume maybe more likely
other shows.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Elia Kane was actually basically like sucking the information from his brain for cloning and everything, because she figured, he's too good, he's too lost in her eyes, So maybe she probably gathered information for that. But
plus, she doesn't want him to share all the cloning information with the New Republic, just in case.
Yeah, that's true. So now this episode starts off on Coruscant and actually starts with Elia Kane walking through the never has it looked more like Blade Runner, I feel like, the nightlife of Coruscant, which we saw in Attack of the Clones more of, I think, and other places. animated
And
shows and
yeah, the
things.
animated shows have been doing it. I
Um,
mean, it's also cost of production to make that scene. Probably why they don't do that many live action scenes
it
on
looked
shows
cool
like that.
though. I mean, yeah, but it's like very, very much Blade Runner.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so she's walking along through the, I guess, like back alleys there on Coruscant, and out comes this big old probe droid. And, you know,
I liked how it showed up because you could see it. You technically saw it before it even showed up because when they looked up at this, she was looking up. You see just steam in this red light. Kind of you don't think about it until then it comes out. The red light moves. You're like, ooh, that's a probe droid. That's neat how they did that.
nice. That makes sense. I was wondering, yeah, like nobody's questioning this thing, but I guess it's pretty stealthy.
That's just a sign that the New Republic is in chaos right now. That things are getting by them.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose that's true. The thing that really stood out to me here with the probe droid was it really, and you know, previous movies and things where you see them, I don't think it did justice the size of them really necessarily because this thing looked massive next to
Mm-hmm.
Elia there. First thing
Yeah,
that
they're definitely supposed to be bigger. I mean, I get that off the ship sometimes because it looks like how are they going to land this ship into this ship, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's like super huge to once you get closer. It's
yeah,
perspective. Yeah.
true. Yeah, because the first, I mean, I assume yours and my first experience was on Hoth. Experience, first time seeing a probe droid. I assume that's, uh,
Yep. That was the
yeah,
first time I saw one.
and
It was creepy.
it's not super clear. Like you don't get one, a side by side of a human to it. I don't think, at that
Mm-mm.
point, but yeah, it was just good
There's
perspective.
probably some book out there that has the actual schematics of what a probe droid is.
I'm pretty confident there's video games out there that get it wrong because it's size wise, scale wise. Um, but the newer ones, I'm sure, are like the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic. No, Battlefront is what I'm thinking of. Did they have any? I assume they're in there. Did they have any in your Jedi Survivor or Academy games that you can
I think
remember?
I think there maybe been one or two. I can't really remember fully.
Gotcha. Well, it's yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's safe to say that things are just going to be more accurate in some of the. Let's just say the games on PS4 and later, probably a lot
Yeah.
more canonical. Probably. That's also, and that mostly I'm sure has to do with the Lucasfilm buyout and everything, purchase. Then when they made things more officially canon, and the Legends or the what was the expanded universe now Legends, just kind of like because unfortunately I think they've said Shadows of the Empire is not canon at this point,
Nope.
which is actually a perfect example because there's definitely, I believe, probe droids in that one, and that's maybe
Yep.
what I'm thinking
They
of.
could. They could. I mean, if they, I really, it'd be kind of cool if they like went back and said, the Shadows of the Empire is kind of neat. We
I
should go and
know,
look at. The
I
game was fun.
it was fun. Although my most recent playthrough when I was streaming it to Twitch was disastrous. Like so
Oh,
much.
now it looks blocky as hell. Like
Oh, it
in
looks
its back of the
blocky,
pit.
but I was
It's like,
terrible. I just remember being so much better at the game, and maybe it was with the N64 controller that because I
you
think
can
I
get the N64 controller now and use it on. Well, I know you can use it on the Switch for sure, but I don't know about the other
yeah.
ones.
Well,
Probably
and they
can.
probably have adapters even for because still have the original controllers, I'm sure somewhere. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, because there's a follower of my of the stream that I think he didn't have such great luck, like trying to get tr- like the newer controllers working with this or the one of
Mm.
the updated N64 controller working with the Switch properly.
Mm.
Issues because
I
he was
had
trying to play. I think he was trying to play Ocarina of Time actually, but
Ocarina of Time.
at any rate, yeah. So we do an after they. Sorry for that. After the probe droid scans in, you can tell it's Elia Kane. Then it projects a hologram of Moff Gideon, and he ends up talking about how the Mandalorians. Oh, initially he's how is it that that Navarro, I thought that the New Republic wasn't interfering, of course, and Elia had to explain that it wasn't, that it was the Mandos, in fact, that aided Grief Karga, and
Commandos.
so he of course starts preparing for I guess a retaking of Mandalore. He pretty much figures that out at that point, that that's what they're ultimately going to do. I mean, I guess that would be the assumption you'd come to. But so once he hangs up the call there,
Once he hangs up.
initially I did think it was a ship, that he was on, but it was. And at this point, we don't really know what we're looking at. We don't see any windows or anything, so it's just say it's a base
Could be
of some
anything.
kind. Could be
Yeah.
anything at this point, but he's walking through. Now, what we're, his last batch seemed to be dark troopers. These looks like light troopers. I don't know. They look like almost a combination of dark troopers and stormtroopers.
Well, yeah, but there was a person in those ones.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't know that at this point, right? Because they're all just.
I mean, it looked like. Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, at that point you don't know. You're just like, oh okay.
They're just on the
Cool.
sides. There's these red. You know what it reminded me? I don't know if this was meant to be a callback or a reference to the scene in Phantom Menace with the opening and closing red gates where Obi-Wan is behind while Qui-Gon and Darth Maul are duking it out. But it reminded me of that. These red projected walls that he has to pass through with
Yeah,
each.
I know. I remember what you're talking about because I kind of get that same feeling like, oh, this looks familiar.
And yeah, so they're lined on the sides of this corridor, and Moff Gideon is walking down the middle, and he has to kind of stop for each one of these to open each time. And eventually he winds up in this holographic round table of sorts with all these other what do we call what Imperial, they're still just Imperials, or what's left of the Imperials.
Yeah, they're just the remnants of the Empire right now.
Right. And these are officers.
They're kind of like the rebels when the rebels weren't had to be split up. They're kind of like doing the same thing now. They're like, we have to split up just to survive.
I mean, yeah, could you say, I assume this is the case, like if you had to compare it to history, that this would have been true of like Nazis at one point or another, that there was probably like not everyone just stopped being a Nazi. I mean, clearly there's people
Yeah,
that claim to be today, I suppose, but that's maybe not quite the same.
but it's not as big as it used to be.
Sure.
It's a lot smaller.
Right.
Hopefully.
So they're all talking around the old holographic. Well, it's not actually a table, I suppose. It's
The old holographic circle.
circle, yeah. So there's one of the guys is talking about Thrawn's eventual return, but then there's this guy, not commandment, is it commandant, Commandant Hux, which, okay, do you know the relation here? Is it just a younger No, it's not a younger version. It's
No,
related.
it's his father. It's father.
Gotcha. Of General Hux, eventual General Hux.
Yes,
We see as
that would be his papa.
gotcha. So
Think about think about a little mini baby little Huck. Yay, yay! I'm gonna
yeah,
rule. I'm gonna
yeah.
be part of the first order.
I'm
Oh
the
no,
what does he say at the end? Like I'm the mole. Um,
I'm the spy.
which is just weird. Or the spy. Yeah, it's interesting the name of this episode, but yeah, that whole thing. You know, he kind of blew up like a series of planets, and then he just ends up being a spy for the good guys. Like I don't. He literally
Now
gave the order to
he was
blow up all these planets in
yeah,
Force
but
Awakens.
he wanted. I think because he wanted to force some of these like Kylo Ren for sure. He didn't like Kylo Ren. Is what
Yeah,
he was trying to get back at.
right.
So cause he even said, and he didn't. He wasn't doing this for the whatever the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing for other reasons, which the other reason was he wanted to be uh, running the show.
I suppose. Yeah, exactly. It's just out of greed or whatever, or revenge out of
Did you
Sith
realize
traits.
though that the actor that played that Hux is also the brother of the guy that actually played the Hux in the
Oh,
yeah they're brothers. I
that's
didn't
funny.
know either that they're what's called his name's Brian Gleason.
Yeah, Harry Potter people.
Yeah. And I didn't know that his dad was the other
Brendan Gleeson. Yeah,
what's yeah, I'm like,
Mad Eye Moody.
what the yeah, I was like, wait, what?
That's
I'm
right.
like, oh, so they're all one big happy family.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I didn't know it was his brother in this. That's funny. Um,
Well, it's not
but
his brother, he's technically playing his dad in
right. Oh, yeah,
this show.
his real life brother.
Yeah, yeah.
But so they start talking about. They also are talking about this Project Necromancer, which sounds, as they kept talking, it sounded as though that's a like.
Cloning project?
Ooh, that would make sense. Because there was there was. I mean, they started talking about it as being like a if Thrawn doesn't actually return as a
Contingency.
ultimatum or contingency, sure. Um, they went on to talk about how this group is the Shadow Council, and
I was like, that's cool.
it's a cool name, yeah. It
Get
is pretty
get
pretty
down with
badass.
Shadow Council.
um, but they end the conversation basically talking about how they're gonna stamp out the Mandalorians, and
Yeah.
so
He needs reinforcements.
so
A
at this
lot.
point, we assume that means they're going to go to Mandalore to do so, right? Or they're going to stop
Yep.
them, or they're going to go to Navarro. Oh, we're led to believe initially that they're going to Navarro. I'm like, wow, that was fast. Just kidding. It was the rest of the Mandalorians flying above, and as well, initially Grief Karga's droid thinks, of course, that they're Imperials, but he has to inform him that, in fact, it is. First, he calls it a shuttle. The droid calls it a shuttle, and then Karga corrects him by saying it's actually a light cruiser,
Mhm.
which also was inadvertently correcting me when I've called it a Star Destroyer before, I believe.
Oh, Karga got you? Damn.
Yeah, well, I think he might be a little more knowledgeable, literally living in the Star Wars galaxy. But
That's fair.
he so the light cruiser we see is flying above the planet there, Navarro, and as Karga points out, it's got a big old mythosaur painted on it, red, I believe, on the
A
underside.
mythosaur.
and we see along with it all these other smaller ships flying as well. Which when I first saw them, I'm like, is that just a bunch of other ships of the same size further up? But no, they were just they were all smaller ships.
Some
So
big ships and then some small ships. There's ships of all sizes.
all ship for every size.
Yeah.
So they end up flying over to their newly seceded land over there for the Mandos, and they land, and we see the armorer emerge from said ship along with others, and we do see that Bo-Katan is hoping. As they're landing, before they're in her ship. Din Djarin and her and Grogu are still in her ship, and as before they land, she's really hoping that both sides are going to be able to get along. We see them all walk out, walk up to the group. We don't really get a proper greeting initially. They just kind of stand there initially, but the armorer lays down the hammer, I guess. Clings some of her tools together loudly.
I see what you did.
Yeah. She that's nice. She didn't really lay it. That doesn't really work.
She laid the hammer down.
Kinda did. She just initially she clangs her tools together and goes ahead and welcomes the night owls there, or the
welcome, Mandalorians.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
I feel like that's how she should talk from now on.
Yes. Which, by the way, I had this weird theory today, random thought before I even watched this episode, that the armorer was going to turn out to be bad or something. I
still feel like there's something about her.
Yeah. Well, I hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised eventually.
I feel like there is something.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions.
Something, yeah. But so, and then all of a sudden,
or there's reasons she decided to let Bo-Katan be the one to take her helmet off and get everyone together. Just see.
Well, it wasn't going to be anybody else that did it, I suppose. She was their closest tie in. But
it should be, the next episode should be interesting. I think we're gonna.
It's gonna be really
be surprised.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, wait a whole freaking week.
Good season finale. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you looking forward to it because you want to see what happens, or are you looking forward to then podcasting's over for a little bit?
Maybe a little of both. But yeah, so we do see Karga just kind of show up. He just kind of like sneaks around the corner or something. He just suddenly is there.
Oh, hey guys,
I don't know if he just walked there. Like
I don't know. It seems like a little bit of walk.
Yeah, it really does.
Maybe he has a speeder out there that we just didn't see in the background.
Right.
Has to be. You have to have a speeder to get out there. It looked like they were kind of far.
Yeah, for sure. But he's got a bottle there for Mando, a vintage whatever whiskey or something. I don't really know. Whatever they drink in the galaxy, but
the galaxy far, far away.
He also says he's got another gift for him, so he brings him to what we initially think is, we got IG-11 working. Oh, just kidding. It's IG-12 now, and it's got an Anzellan
right controlling it.
Yep, which I thought was I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be interesting. Thought we were just gonna have this little critter in there the whole time, which was partially true, because instead of him, we got Grogu. Suddenly he has a new pod, basically, that he can control. So when this Anzellan is on the table, it walks past Grogu, we hear "Bad baby, no squeezy."
Yeah, I was like, that's awesome.
Sneak
I
past.
like the Anzellans. They're funny.
Yes, they are.
I liked how they just kept on showing like Grogu walking and then the Anzellan kind of climbing down and like you know there was going to be intimate interaction between the two.
Yep.
So I was waiting for Grogu to try to grab him like all over again.
Mm-hmm.
But Anzellan just kind of like no squeezy, no squeezy.
So
Bad baby.
so Karga wants to try and see if Grogu fits in there, and he does. Then we see that Grogu can now sort of talk with this thing. Like he can understand hitting buttons or levers or whatever to say yes and no. And then he's able to control the thing, walk around with it, which was maybe the more impressive thing, like immediately.
Which Mando
And
doesn't seem to like.
he keeps initially saying no a lot, no to like not because Mando doesn't want him, thinks he's not old
Mando's
enough.
trying to take him out of it, and he's like, no, 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 no.
Gets a couple yeses, and eventually it's just yes, 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 yes. Like
That was hilarious the whole time walking down the street. And you hear him hitting the button like constantly. Ticking, yes, ticking, yes. Like, oh, this has got to be nerve wracking because it drives me nuts.
then he suddenly tries to pull an Aladdin and take some things from
Steal some
a
food.
market vendor there. Starts eating things right away. Grabs it with the robotic arm and some I don't know if they were like dates or raisins or something, but then Mano says
Feel like
no, and this
I
says
feel
this
like
isn't working out.
Din needs a button that says "bad baby, bad baby."
Yeah,
The Anzellan voice in the background.
he gives the shop owner some coins right away, and then Grogu takes a fruit of some kind, and he has to takes that, squeezes it. I think wasn't that it? He just basically like squeezed all the juice out of it, right? He had
Yeah,
to, but
he's
Dinjarin had to.
rebelling.
What was that?
He's rebelling.
Yeah, and he's only 53.
He's only
Whatever.
50 years old.
Yeah. So Mando has to give him some further coins, but then after that, we see it this nighttime. They're back at the feast that the armorer had previously talked about, and when she welcomed in the privateers to their group. And they so she starts Bo-Katan starts speaking there at the feast and talks about going to scope out Mandalore now, but asks for some volunteers from both sides of the group there. And in order, I think I got this pretty well. Din Djarin, Koska Reeves, Axe Wolves, Paz Vizsla, then quite a few others stood up in that order, and then eventually the armorer also volunteers.
Sounds about
So
right.
ship heads out, and this is Bo-Katan's ship. It took more than
The Gauntlet.
the Gauntlet. I should call it that. Yeah. There are others.
That's what it's called.
Other ships. Yeah, there was. I don't know how many ships they
Yeah,
had.
there was the whole fleet. There's the light cruiser, and then there was like little transports that were all like from the Empire, but they had taken and liberated.
Mm-hmm.
And you got some Mandalorian ships, like the Gauntlet, but they're not called the Gauntlet.
Oh, they're not. Other ones. They're called the Gauntlet 2. No,
Gauntlet wannabes.
yeah. So then Mandalore is the next scene, and they start descending to the surface. They're kind of like above the cloud level, right before they go through that rough entry that we've seen like a couple of times prior now. And So we see Paz Vizsla and Axe are there, and Paz says it's worse than he thought, and then Axe Wolves talks about how he was there when it actually happened.
I was there.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he said it.
So then they're all in these ready to be dropped. These little it's almost like a theme park ride or something, but little seats.
Kinda.
But they the bottom drops out below them, and they do a free fall. I mean, they got their jetpacks, obviously, so they're able to. It was very quick, actually. Like they landed relatively quickly. Like it didn't. They didn't make it seem like they were that far off the ground.
No, I mean they weren't that. It's probably not that far off the ground, but
Right.
far enough, I guess.
So they tell Bo-Katan that it's secure, so she goes. Or I think she's piloting the ship at this point. She goes ahead and lands, and so they start scouting in the direction of the Great Forge and the, I guess, the city, really. It's really the Forge they're after at this point, because obviously Bo-Katan and Din Djarin were to.
I think the forge. If they can get the forge going, is kind of like the symbolic that Mandalorians are back and at Mandalore kind of thing. I think.
Right. And yeah, I guess Bo-Katan and Din Djarin were at a different part of the city with the waters, the living waters before this, so they're obviously aware of where that is, but Forge is in a different spot that they still have to locate at this point. And then so they start their scouting, and then it's not long before we see something in the distance that they see coming at them, and I'm like, okay, what is this? A creature? And no, it's
I was like, what is that?
sailing shit, like a sand ship. I don't know what else you call it. More like
it's a ship.
Yeah, it's
that glides on the
surface.
solidified surface.
Yeah, kind of cool looking. And at first, when I saw this, I thought it was. I mean, it wouldn't really make sense, but it totally reminded me of the ship that is it. Which of the clone troopers, Rex? Is that who we see on like a ship at one point? In is it Rebels or is it like old
Believe,
man Rex?
yeah, that would have been Rebels. He was talking about. Yeah.
Because he was on, and yeah, I guess spoilers for this, but he was on like a. It looked like more of a. Do I have this wrong? No, I totally have this wrong. That wasn't a. That was like a big, like robotic thing, wasn't it? Have this wrong? What was he on? I thought it was some kind of a like sailing looking ship, but maybe it was like a transport walking sort of
No,
thing.
I think he was a walking. It was an old military walker.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this
that's what it
thing
was.
though looks more like a wooden sailing ship almost, but like very wide. I guess so it can actually glide along the surface. But looks pretty neat. I mean, I guess you could assume they needed to scrounge together what they could to make this thing. Since they've apparently been living on this the whole time, but we only hear from a distance initially, asking if they have food. They say they do. And so we see they say, is that Lady Bo-Katan Kryze? So obviously they're aware of her. They fly out and land in front of them, take their helmets off. No one that looks familiar or anything, just 3 Mandalorians that were left behind. I don't think, unless these aren't any characters we've seen or heard of before, right?
These are not the Mandalorians you are looking for.
But I don't even know. Did we get introductions? Did we get names or anything for these characters?
I don't think so. Let's see what their names are in here on IMDb.
Yeah, so they're
I can find any of
brand
them.
new faces. I think
Uh,
some of them were a little older, or maybe they just looked older from being stranded on this planet for so long. But they they end up starting to talk about how the so they're talking about they were taking no prisoners and how they started bombing and the planet and everything. And I'm trying to remember what is the lore behind who was it? Was it the Empire that took over Mandalore or that destroyed it?
something like yeah. So it was something that I think like they gave up from the Empire, and then they in Rebels we see them kind of coming back and rebelling against them.
Mm-hmm.
And then as for after that, after they blow, do that all the attacks in Rebels, I'm assuming then after somewhere between that and New Hope is when this the purge happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Um, Bo ends up admitting that despite these three not surrendering, she ends up she admits that she actually did surrender. I don't know if it was on the night of 1,000 tears, um,
out of
which
1,000
I'm sure
tears.
that was referred to in one of the animated shows, right?
No,
Oh.
Night of 1,000 Tears has
Did
never been.
Armorer talk about it or something?
Yeah, in like maybe season one, maybe season two, one of those. Or no, maybe it was Boba Fett. I think it was the Boba Fett
Oh,
episodes.
gotcha. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
because she surrendered. She made a deal with Moff Gideon, and that's really ultimately how he got the dark saber. Of course,
So he didn't win it by combat either.
right.
He was she also surrendered it, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm. But
Who
I
knows?
mean, uh, there were times when Din Djarin tried to surrender it and they wouldn't let him. So yeah, this is just a thing where
Yeah,
he basically
it's true.
she basically struck a deal. She basically gave up that idea temporarily to try to save her people, I think.
Save her rear.
And but he didn't really hold up his end of the bargain. It sounds like he surprise surprise there, but uh after that we have a kind of a touching moment between Bo and Mando at the front of the bow of the ship. I think it's the
Mm-hmm.
bow. Uh,
I was like, oh, are they gonna get it on in their Mandalorian armor sparking against them?
what's funny is I wondered this was the episode I actually started thinking about like are they gonna have a relationship here or something? And
I think they might.
I mean I was reminded that there was a time in season one where I think there was someone who seemed like they could have been a love interest for Din Djarin on another on
Oh yeah.
the planet with was it the shrimp or whatever that they had? They were like
Yeah.
prawns or something like that. Um, it's also the episode where we saw the single scariest ATST in I think Star Wars history. Single one that like
Yeah.
its eyes lit up red in the night.
That thing was nuts.
Yeah. Um, so let's see. They you know, in this touching moment, this is where Bo-Katan continues to seem to have doubts about the two groups kind of joining forces, but Din Djarin is being like he's being the most optimistic guy. I think he's constantly been for whatever reason he's been there like a couple of times now to like reassure Bo-Katan because we saw it in the previous episode on the Hyperloop as well, a similar kind of conversation. But
They're gonna get it on.
I mean, maybe. Well, I don't know. Could happen, but I think eventually I think it's safe to say that sooner or later we're gonna see that the helmet thing is not gonna be they're just gonna do away with that like helmet restriction. I think they'll get convinced on the other side of things. I think,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Um, so they end up since this crew on this ground ship has some injured. Um, they agree that the rest of the Mandalorians will take those injured to the rest of their fleet up still in the uh,
Atmosphere.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Or
are they actually in the atmosphere or are they outside of the
orbit.
atmosphere?
They're in orbit around Mandalore. How about that?
Inner space or something, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
But so they end up taking the armor ends up taking flying the gauntlet back up to the rest of the fleet with the injured, and so they start their way. They continue on. I should say the rest of the crew that is okay and not injured. Initially, they ask, like you can help us in our pursuit to find the forge, and I think it's the captain says, "We'll do you one better. We'll just take you there. Like we actually know where it is." So as they get close, we see some kind of rumbling of the crystalline, uh,
The planet surface.
yeah, mountainous area up ahead, and thinking, oh boy, something's gonna come out. Something's coming out of there, and then something that
Something's coming.
basically looks like Godzilla coming out of the out of there, giant thing, and so the captain says to abandon ship. Pretty quickly there, they all jetpack out, and the monstrous creature smashes. I guess I don't know if it's tail or its arm or whatever down onto the ship,
Something.
completely
It
destroys it.
blew it up.
But they all manage to escape, fly off, including
I don't know if
Din
all of them
Djarin.
made. Cause I'm pretty sure I saw some Mandalorians jetpacks going like crazy. I'm just kind of
Oh, didn't that happen to Boba Fett in Return to the
yeah,
Jedi?
yeah. I'm just maybe they made it.
Jeez. um, the so most of them made it, well, including Din Djarin and Grogu and I don't know what to call him, Grogu or IG-12 now.
Grogu got an assist by Mandalorians. I know maybe it was Paz and Mando that did it. That grabbed him and lifted him up,
Oh
and they
yeah,
shot out of there.
yeah. Good job, guys. Go team.
They should have built a jetpack into IG-12.
Yeah, that seems like a real miss now that you mention it. But
Maybe next time.
yeah. So again, no problems putting Grogu in harm's way though. Despite him thinking he's not old enough to pilot this thing, apparently he has no problem going into combat. But anyway, they managed to fly off into a nearby cave, which is where they needed to go anyway, I guess. Because right after that, we see the city-like structures again, and this is in fact the Great Forge, which
They're great for it. It makes me feel like I'm like watching something that's from WoW when I hear the Great Forge
oh yeah, like Iron
and the
Forge.
yeah,
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 totally.
yeah. Bunch of dwarves, forging stuff.
It's funny. It reminded it's funny you say one Blizzard property because I saw this scene and I was suddenly reminded of something from Diablo, like a dungeon in Diablo or something. But
Yeah,
um, so they call it the Great Forge, but I don't think we actually saw the forge right here at this.
I don't think it's somewhere down there. This is part. We just saw like the big piece of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if that means like if it's one or if it's many. different forges, but um,
It's the Great Forge, Shane. It's just great.
yep. So they start hearing some jetpacks rather quickly, and initially think they're other Mandalorians, but no, they are Imperials flying in. And for whatever reason, I think Din Djarin can tell right away that they've got Beskar armor on.
I'm gonna guess that the visor and their helmets can tell them what kind of armor they're wearing.
Like Iron Man
Maybe
style.
it gives like off a certain glow under their visors that they're like,
Maybe.
oh yeah, you got Beskar.
I was gonna say, is it like what is it, Needle, or what is the name of Frodo's sword that can detect
Oh
if
yeah,
orcs are
Needle.
nearby?
No, no Needle is that's
The
from Game of
Bill
Thrones.
Oh, whatever the name of
I
that
can't
sword
think
is. It's yeah. So yeah, or I just wondered like if they just knew, they just had the instinct, or their Beskar vibrates when they're near
It's
near other
called Sting is the
Sting.
name of that
You can
sword.
see why I thought that. I would argue that George R. R. Martin probably had inspiration. Obviously, he had, I think, clear inspiration from Lord of the Rings for other things, but I'm gonna guess that
Yeah.
name probably comes from that. Um, but Visor gives the most accurate Pantone color match. um, so yeah, so in comes these jetpacked Imperials flying around. They kind of end up, they do some damage against them initially though, or at least we think, because they start presumably retreating. When in reality, at the top once again, because they end up taking them into, or the Mandalorians chase them into an area that looks remarkably like imperial tech.
Yep.
Looks remarkably like what we may have even seen earlier in this episode with Moff Gideon. And so they kind of get trapped. One door closes behind them, and then another door closes, and Din Djarin is the only one that's outside of those doors. And he gets like grappled, like literal like grapple shot several times, and put into a very submissive hold, and starts groaning, understandably. But then what ends up happening after that? They in flies the what
Dark
what
Trooper.
for some reason the subtitles just say Dark Trooper initially. I'm like, of course this is Moff Gideon. Like, there's no question. But it's worth noting the helmet on
Mm-hmm.
this Dark Trooper certainly represents, or certainly resembles. I mean, I don't want to say it's a specific one of that particular species, which I don't actually. What is it? What are they called?
What?
Darth Maul's species
Oh,
is
I don't
Dathomirian.
know. Well, definitely did have the Darth Maul Mandalorian tribe look. If you remember from the last season of Clone Wars,
Yeah, I kind of
and the
figured.
Mandalorians that follow him, even the I'm still wondering about the armorer because she has the same horns.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think the
it's
armorer is just. I honestly think the armorer is a spy for Moff Gideon somehow.
uh
That's what I
oh
think.
yeah, yeah, it could be. Did kind of lead him straight to him, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
Why did they show her twice too in this one? They showed her leaving, and then they showed her again, like getting to the light cruiser, saying that there's injured Mandalorians, but then cut away from her. So like it was really weird. It was odd scene positioning. It could be just me overthinking it, but I feel like there's something behind that.
so yeah, yeah. We shall see. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one that started really finding her a little sus. But um,
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I'm trying to figure out is the I'm trying to because those Clone Wars episodes had the female of that Dathomirian. Um,
Ephemerian.
like there was the
Oh,
game the old
Ventress.
yeah, Ventress is one of the witches on that planet, but
She was also she
Dathomir, I
was
guess.
she was Count Dooku's apprentice.
Gotcha. Oh, maybe it was Zabrak is the
Zabrak,
Zabrak.
Zabrak.
I don't know what the difference. I don't understand all this, but it looks like it's slightly different. Maybe they're like a hybrid or something. But
Hmm.
the Old Republic game had. Thought you could play. You could definitely play as those characters. But maybe I guess it was Zabrak. I am more confused than ever what the difference is now. But maybe they are a different race technically. Anyway, yeah. So it resembles Darth Maul, the helmet, as you mentioned from a previous episode, previous Clone Wars. When surprise, this is probably a big spoiler if you don't know already. He shows up on Mandalore, takes Mandalore at one point. But you should go back and watch
Well,
those.
thanks a lot, Shane. Just wrecked my night.
Yeah, yours, I'm sure.
I'm just
They
kidding.
they yeah, I think we've talked about several deaths in that in that storyline at this point, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, so he flies in and starts talking a little bit, but doesn't take long before takes his helmet off and oh my god, it's Moff Gideon. This is a complete surprise.
Ah.
So he's basically talking about how he wants that. Well, I guess he doesn't say it at this point. He does talk about how they're going to launch the like TIE interceptors and bombers, right?
Yep. They're gonna go after the fleet up above and complete the purge, is what he said.
Oh, and I did fail to mention how Axe did end up. I think it was Paz sort of allowed him to fly up through a crack in the cave up
Oh
above
yeah,
to basically try to
that's
warn the
too.
fleet
That
of.
they left that open too. So we'll see
Mm-hmm.
how next episode.
Right.
I
So,
wonder how long the episode's gonna be. I'm curious.
oh yeah, I am too. It's a 3-hour event. um,
Well, knowing that Dave Filoni's making his first movie off of all the events that are happening in this show and they're going to happen in Ahsoka and some other shows or other seasons, it's pretty exciting.
I'm glad you brought that up. It is very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Three different separate movies that I almost wondered, have they alluded to like we're going to see how this goes, right? Like right now it's just 3 independent movies like with the potential with some of those having sequels to them. I
Maybe,
mean,
I don't know.
you'd think that would be the case, but like
I,
you
I mean,
mentioned,
they're gonna. Maybe they said one for right now, but they're not saying they're gonna make another because the Thrawn thing could turn into a trilogy on its own.
right?
'Cause that could be pretty big.
And that is part of I didn't even think about that. So that Thrawn is for sure going to be in this Filoni movie. Oh, we don't
I'm
know too much. We
guessing.
just know that it's going to be basically a forgive the term climax of of all the different Filoni properties, basically. Well, specifically the live action things, but obviously all the live action is also tied into the animations. But
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, I think, are really the ones that made the timeline, the new timeline that they have for it.
Yes, very exciting stuff. But so then the 2 other movies being the ones that like 10,000 years prior, like the initial Jedi Order, I think is
The
what they
starting
said.
of the Jedi Order, which is like that's awesome. I will sign up for that.
And then the third one we just know is a new Daisy Ridley or Rey
15
specifically.
years after the last movie, The Rise of
I
Skywalker.
thought I saw 15, but then I thought somebody said something about 10, but it's going to literally
I've heard
be.
15.
I mean, it can pull off 15. It'll be 2025 if if it happens to be around that time. We'll literally be 10 years after the Force Awakens in real our time. But
They
then
can
again,
age her up if they need to.
hey, they must figure. We made 5 years. We jumped 5 years in the MCU. Why not?
Yeah.
What's 5 years?
Right?
So, although I suppose it would actually be less than that because the last time we saw Rey would have been more recent. But anyway, yeah. So I guess we didn't see the interceptors or bombers get launched, did we? Or did we?
You saw them getting ready to get launched, but I didn't see them ever get launched off yet.
Right.
Just preparing.
So getting to basically trying to tell Bo to surrender the Darksaber again. But instead, they get another plan. They decide to give an old "this is the way." They pretty much all know what the plan is already. So they start firing, and Bo goes out back to the back door that closed, and everything I'm saying here is euphemistic, but they so she uses the Darksaber to start ripping a big old hole in that door, kind of similar to the way we see. I mean, I'm sure they've done this multiple times at this point, but reminds me of Qui-Gon and Phantom Menace specifically, getting through that door, and so they're firing. Of course, we see Paz in there again, blasting away with his big old minigun,
Gatling gun.
and which is just kind of cool. Can I just say it's kind of cool as a blaster, like not as just like a shooting off laser blasts every round. It's pretty sweet. But then I could see this coming from a mile away. He's doing his damage, he's doing his work, and everybody else kind of starts piling out the newly freshly made hole that Bo-Katan had created, and he's still in it. He's like, and she's trying to get him to come back, and he's not having. He's too in the action. He basically kind of sacrifices himself. He closes the door himself, so that
poor Paz.
For the rest of the crew. Let's not forget this guy's a father, but he takes out.
This is the way.
he does manage to end up taking out all those guys, and
and
by the time his gun is completely melted, just like so overheated that it's literally melting. He throws that. I don't remember if he threw it at one of them, but
yeah, he threw it at one of them and kind of knocked him over after that.
And then he's just using sheer brute strength at that point, and I'm thinking like, holy crap! Like I'm thinking
he was
like
truly a heavy.
I had already written in the notes that he sacrificed himself, but I'm like, did he just survive? Did he just kill every one of them and still survive? And then in comes, I'm sure you have a name for these guys.
I can't remember the name. They said it in the beginning. Some kind of special guard.
Yeah, I'm just calling them the
They were like,
guards.
I think they're. I believe they are remnants of the Emperor's Red Guard.
Yeah, and we see them huddled around the Emperor, and we see something similar huddled around
in the Last Jedi.
Snoke, yeah.
They probably come from the same division, I'd say.
Yeah, their weapons are, and I don't remember if that's what the weapons they had in. I feel like they seem similar.
It's similar, not all the way the same, but yeah, the early stages of them.
They looked reminiscent of lightsabers also, but like more electrical. They actually remind me of.
They reminded me of the General Grievous's guards, where they had those electrical sticks.
Yeah, that's a fair point. that makes sense in the Star Wars galaxy. I was gonna say there's like an electrical race in World of Warcraft, or in, that's kind of like that, where I think they have weapons kind of similar as well.
Mm.
But they pretty quickly not only put him into submission, but they think it was a little unclear if these things are like actually like forgive the word, penetrating organs or his body, because it's electricity theoretically, right? So I think they kind of left this open-ended, but we do see these weapons get basically jammed into different parts of his body.
Yeah.
Like his stomach and the back of his shoulder, that kind of thing.
Basically, he's dead.
He looks pretty dead. He falls to his knees at the very least, or maybe he fell over completely.
He fell over completely, and then his body's kind of smoking.
And we just see
or at least
the red guards just kind of
walk away.
Off. Yeah, just walk away.
Walk away.
And we, of course, get you could still call that a cliffhanger ending. I mean, it's not a new season or anything, but
it was just end right there. It has just zooming in on Paz, and that was it.
if you can technically use the term cliffhanger when it comes to, like, does it always have to be? It just says an ending to an episode, a serial drama that leaves the audience in suspense.
Ooh, you did. You left me in the suspense.
Yeah, I think it works as a term still. All right. Well, that about does it for episode 23. But as is per tradition,
I'm going to give this one a better one than last week, because it actually gave you some more story. I'm going to go 4-7.
Oh,
where I'm at.
Wow, that is
I like this one.
Magnificent score. I mean,
I did like this one. It gave me more information.
4-5.
Of course, it's always 2 points away from me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought it was really good.
I
wasn't.
Next time, I'm gonna let you pick and you do the score first. See where you go.
I can't. I have no point of reference. I need the relativity. I need the the comparison to be like, I didn't really know how I felt about it until I heard your score. But that's a full point more than last episode. It's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
Last episode, I felt like it was just really big filler.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the end when there's Mandalorians around. Okay, but that was It was not. I did not enjoy it as much. Maybe it's.
I had fun.
It's because I had this thing against Lizzo or something. I don't know.
Is it the whole thing like
I was just trying to keep that out of it, but
yeah,
it was still not that great of an episode. I felt like it was just except for after the whole quest that they had to do when they find the Mandalorians. Then I was like, okay.
I mean, if you think about it, though, the whole first season is kind of side quest, isn't it? Like, I don't know. A lot of this show is kind of that way when it's just like Mando trying to find where Grogu's supposed to go, or the child at the time. But
yeah, I suppose, I don't know. It just could have maybe filled in more backstory instead of just, hey, I need you to do this quest for me and figure out these droids and why they suck.
Well, this was this was for sure one of the longer episodes, if not the longest episode this season so far. I think.
Oh, and it gave us some. It definitely gave us some knowledge of Thrawn and what's going on with the remnants of the Empire right now.
And
gave us more information. Yeah,
Hux
a lot more
1.0.
information.
Yeah, so that's about it for today. One more of these to go for this season.
Yep, one more to go, and then we take a break until the next show comes out.
Indeed.
When does Secret? I'm guessing we're going to do Secret Invasion.
We'll see. It depends on if they try to pull a 12 episode or kind of thing again. I don't know if I can do that.
I'm looking at it right now.
It is funny to me though that like I was so used to the what's Herschel doing? Shave score equals Mike score. It's greater than or equal to math.random is less than 5.5. If that's true, Mike score plus 0.2. Else Mike score minus 0.2. Okay. Wow. That's the formula. There it is. I can just plug that in every time.
So Secret Invasion is going to be 6 episodes.
Oh, great. Good. Perfect. Fantastic. Because that's... I was going to say it. So that was the Obi-Wan, I think, series length, I believe. Yeah. And I thought... Wasn't there other ones that did that? No, was Moon Knight... Was that more? See, I got confused because the Obi-Wan threw me for a loop, I think, because I'm so used to... I started getting used to the idea of 6 episodes, and then I thought 9 sounded like a lot for She-Hulk, when in fact it's only 1 episode more than The Mandalorian typically does.
Moon Knight was 6 as well.
It was 6? Wow. Okay. Yeah. I thought that's right. Okay, yeah. See, I got used to that 6 thing, but I mean, I'm fine with
8, just like
I think 8 is fine. Like,
yeah,
6 is fine. Honestly,
I think 10 is the max. 10 is the max.
Yeah, I
would say. I mean, unfortunately, Andor was 12. Andor 9? 12. Yeah, and Daredevil's going to be supposed to be like 20 something. What?
I can't do that anymore. I definitely feel like I can't. Do a podcast on it. We're here for the short seasons, Disney. What are you doing to us? All right. Well, that'll do it for this evening. So, thanks for listening, everyone. Thank you for hanging out, Herschel, and thank you, Mike, as always.
Yeah.
If you want to write into us, you can do that at disnerdsplus@gmail.com, the website to check out, which one of these days maybe I'll actually add some more content to. That's disnerdsplus.com. We are recording our final episode next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, final episode of this season at 7 p.m. Central at twitch.tv/ShaveMadOx. You can find Mike at Cool as a Cucumber. That's K-U-L, by the way. If you're wondering, and cucumber with a K. You can find me at Shave Mad Ox. Until next time,
bye-bye.
This is the way. All right.
Did it. Yeah.
This is the way.
This is the way. Oh, it's fun. As always.
Is having fun. This is what it was all about. Because this was literally the first original Disney Plus series, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where it started, and I only wish we...
Wait, was it Mando or was it WandaVision?
I'm certain it was Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it may have even launched with it. Now you're going to tell me nope. We didn't even talk about... This Moon Knight was the first thing we talked about, right?
I think so.
Well, yeah.
When was Mandalorian released? November 12th, 2019.
Disney Plus launch date. November 12th, 2019.
And, so WandaVision was January 15, 2021. So yeah, it was definitely Mando. Oh yeah, because I think Loki was before. No, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No, so they're all after WandaVision. WandaVision was the first MCU one, I should say.
2021, 2 years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Was there
Crazy.
just like animated stuff in between?
I guess. I don't know.
Doesn't that seem off?
It
Like,
does, but it was right when the pandemic started, too, remember?
yeah, I heard
We
so.
went
We
on
know
like a
we know
whole.
Moon Knight was the first in our when we start in our podcast series, but
Remember, 2020 was basically kind of all these projects were going and they had to stop production and stuff because of pandemic.
I was just
So there's a
thinking.
lot of things that were behind.
Yeah, I was just thinking again today about that being the reason with
That's why.
Modoc's disappointing look.
Yeah. Well, that also because they were working very hard on Black Panther 2 to make sure it looked
Yeah.
ready to go. So, yeah. Hopefully that with Bob Iger back, they'll be able to get the quality back.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
anywho, I gotta go eat something before
All right.
the night ends.
Sounds good. Have a great night. See you later. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.
Adios. Later.